Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. Sorry about that. I wanted to make clear on a particular subject. I made maybe about 4 videos about it already before concerning Satanism, and what it really means, and not what you actually think it means. I did maybe about 4, possibly 5 different videos about it. One was Lucifer is the good guy, and I explained why, and that was the title of it. Lucifer is the good guy. So if you want, you might want to look that one up. It's a very good video where I explain a lot. The true origin of Lucifer, aka Satan, I think is the name of the other video. Will explain more on the origin of Satan, the idea of it, Lucifer, and the whole thing, how it's misunderstood. And in some other videos right now, I can't remember, because that was some time ago. I did it some like maybe 4 or 5 months ago or something. I don't know, but it was some time ago. Anyways, the point is, I wanted to do a video on the misunderstanding of true Satanism and how it shouldn't be confused with devil worship, because it was Christians, especially Christian fundamentalists, that actually programmed people into believing that religious Satanists, like Anton LaVey, for example, are people that are just like someone like Aleister Crowley, a British Satanist, but he was an occultist who did do some very sick, twisted things, even though he was a very brilliant man who did beautiful poetry, from what I understand. I never really read that much of it, just very little of it, but he wrote the most beautiful poetry. And he was a very educated, rich man. He went to the University of Cambridge and stuff like that. But at the same time, he had a reputation of being a very rude, someone who harasses somebody to tears, a bully, a very foul man who would get on your nerves, or get you angry, or even make you feel timid, afraid of him, because he was into the occult, and he was, unfortunately, a very psychotic man. And Aleister Crowley was like that, but he was not exactly a Satanist. Yes, he did practice different forms of ritual magic of the occult, Egyptian, and some kind of other type of black witchcraft. But but the thing about it is, as far as him sacrificing or doing any kind of evil stuff, I'm pretty sure he did that. There was a man named Victor Norberg, who was his a very good friend of his, but at the same time they were both bisexual, so they were in love with each other. But after so many rituals, he actually abused them mentally, physically, and sexually. So to the point that he had a nervous breakdown after being with him for so many years. So Aleister Crowley was a real son of a bitch, even though he was a very intelligent and brilliant man who came up with very good points about magic. That type of Satanist, or whatever you want to call it, want to consider it Satanism, should not be confused with the religious Satanists. The religious Satanists are completely different. They believe in the I am God, I am the power, I am this and that, which is something that the real Jesus was talking about, not the bullshit one that a lot of people are led to believe. Because the word Satan isn't exactly an evil word like the way most people think of it to be, just like Lucifer. Lucifer means the light bearer, the one who brings light, the starlight, because the sun is a giant star. The morning star, the sun. That's basically what it is. And since stars are actually no different than that, it has the same energy. And the morning star, Lucifer, so it's really nothing evil about that name. And Satan just means the adversary, like a rebel. That's all it means. It doesn't mean like an evil fiend or some kind of demonic thing. We've been programmed into believing that. At least I was brainwashed into believing that when I was growing up, until I managed to learn that it was just a bunch of bullshit. Another point that I wanted to make, that the thing is, when it comes to Satanism, the religious part, they believe in pantheism, which is very similar to what Shaolin monks are. It's kind of like the New Age pantheistic belief. There are no absolutes. There's no God outside of yourself. You are part of God. You're a part of the universe. But everybody has their own way of calling it. Some people call themselves a Satanist. Some people call themselves an Enkiist. Some Enki, E-N-K-I, was an ancient Sumerian alien god. He was known as Lucifer and Satan, and then somehow it just got distorted purposely into an evil type person, or evil type being. So, and what I notice about real Satanists, religious Satanists, like Anton LaVey's people and stuff like that, I notice when people that are very devoted to that religion, they're very philosophical when they speak and they preach. When they lecture, actually, not preach but lecture, and they're very scientific. In I don't know if all of them are like that, but I know that some of them have a very good vocabulary. They're very intellectuals. And what I notice about Christian people that are fundamentalists, most of them don't even care that much, especially the ones that are like a lot of the Hispanic families that I know, that I grew up with when I was, because I grew up in the hood, obviously, and I was more of a ghetto snob. That's why I didn't. But I noticed that a lot of the people that lived there, that were very religious, they lacked education. They knew very little about science, and I was crazy about science during that time. I wanted to know, and I was always been teased and being called a whitewashed sellout because I sounded like a goofy white kid or whatever, because I didn't speak slang and all this stuff of like, hey, what up, nigga, you know that kind of shit, or ebonics or whatever like that, like everybody else did. And so they considered me a ghetto snob because I just didn't want anything to do with those type of people. And I grew up in the hood. But whenever I was around people who was very philosophical, who could talk very well, I noticed how intellectual they were. And a lot of them were either atheists, which I noticed they have a better way of talking. And Satanists are really, religious Satanists are really no different, especially the ones that are very devoted to their religion. You could actually have a conversation with them, and they're very intellectuals. You can tell they're very educated, and a lot of the people that I knew and that grew up, they didn't have that type of level of education. Why is it that they're like so different? And when and when their knowledge of their level of education, why it's so different, and then. But the point is, I'm not gonna ramble on about that part. The thing is, the point that I'm trying to make is, they don't worship the devil. They don't sacrifice people. They don't do any of those stupid shit. The ones that do, like for example, my mom's side of the family who was into black magic and all this kind of sacrifice and stuff, because I do remember seeing that shit. I fucking lived it. I know what it's like. I've seen a lot of the fucking sick shit that I was forced to do, but they were not worshiping Satan. At least I thought it was. I thought they were at first, but they were worshiping something that has to do with some kind of alien race, an evil, diabolical, corrupted alien race, which I'm not going to get into that. But the ones that were doing all these animal sacrifices and killing children and raping them and all the typical horror stories here about witches and black magic, they're not worshiping Satan. It's something else that they're worshiping, which I just mentioned. So those are the difference between the two. A religious Satanist is just completely different. So that's something you need to bear in mind, because it does make sense if you bother to do your research. A lot of people still stick to their guns and say, oh, I don't need to know. I don't need to read up on that. I know that Satan is evil and he's the deceiver. He's this and that. Jesus is the one I need to be with. Okay, fine. If you want to think that way, that's fine. But don't be brainwashing people into saying that you're right. People have the right of choice. Give them a choice. You get explain why you feel that you're right. You have that right to do that. You do have the right to explain why you feel you're right. But don't be persuasive. Just be informative. Be informative of what you're trying to say. Don't be persuasive. Because I notice with every type of Christian fundamentalists, they always try to be very persuasive. Especially a lot of the like my people, like Hispanics, they try so hard into converting somebody by any means necessary. By what pamphlets they whatever it says. Do you know that Jesus died for your sins? You know Jesus this and that. You know that everyone was born a sinner and only Jesus can actually cleanse your soul and this and that and all this kind of fucking annoying bullshit. And then they try their best, even if the person says, no, it's okay, this is whatever it is, and then they still go after you. And then I noticed that one time with one lady, she was getting on this other lady's nerves at a McDonald's. I spoke to her, and she was very religious, and she was trying to get me into trying to convert me, but of course it didn't work. So she moved on to somebody else, and then the lady was leaving, and she kept on bugging her, saying, "What you need is Jesus, Jesus." And I'm like, "Excuse me, hold on, please, just let her go, just go." And she still kept on with that shit. Now, of course, not all of them are like that, but some of them have their own way of trying to convert people. But you don't see a Satanist trying to convert a religious Satanist, like from Anton LaVey's type of thinker, someone who read his satanic Bible. They don't try to go on the street trying to convert people. Say, you know, Satan can actually help you make a better life. You know that Satan. You don't see some shit like that. It's like if you're interested in joining up, then do it. If you're interested in finding out what we're about, you're welcome. If you're not interested in it, then you can go. We don't care either way. A lot of them, I mean, just about every Satanist, religious Satanist is like that. If you don't care for it, okay, that's fine. But they don't try to convert people by any means necessary. It's like they're Christians. They're a lot more arrogant. They're a lot more self-absorbed and self-righteous. Especially, and I'm talking about Christian fundamentalists. They're like that, and they try to they're trying to recruit people as much as possible because they give out this lame excuse that they're trying to help people, which is bullshit. All they want is some more drones, some more fucking slaves that they could brainwash, and they never leave them the fuck alone. That's just how it is. They try their best to convert people as much as possible, and those are the ones that brainwash people, not religious Satanists. It's completely different. Some of your viewers might think differently. I mean, there's more harm done by Christian fundamentalists. There's more harm done by them than any religious Satanist has ever done, if they ever did anything. I mean, people like Bob Larson, that exorcist, who obviously he's full of crap. He's a con artist. And the religious Satanists seem to be more down to earth and very philosophical. Very philosophical. Well, I don't know if I left anything out, but if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And to all of you, take care.